Admiral William Carter stood alone in his office aboard the orbital command station Freedom. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he gazed down at Earth. The blue planet seemed peaceful from this distance, its swirling clouds hiding the busy civilization of 10 billion humans below. The message he had just received would change everything. William ran his hand through his gray hair and read the holographic text one more time, hoping somehow the words would change. They did not. The Galactic Senate, an alliance of 147 advanced civilizations, had just unanimously passed Resolution 7291. The title was simple and direct, immediate and complete: disarmament of Earth's military forces. According to the official document, humanity was deemed too volatile and unpredictable to maintain weapons capabilities. While participating in galactic affairs, William's communication panel chimed. "Admiral, the President is waiting for you." "In the secure conference room," said his assistant. "Tell her I'm on my way," William replied, his voice steady despite the storm brewing inside him. The walk to the conference room felt longer than usual. Crew members saluted as he passed, unaware that the Senate had just labeled their entire species as dangerous children who couldn't be trusted with their own protection. Humans had only joined the galactic community 15 years ago. They were still newcomers, still learning the complex politics of interstellar relations. But this demand went beyond politics. This was survival. President Allison Maxwell waited alone in the conference room. Her normally confident posture was tense as she studied data on her tablet. At 62, she had guided Earth through first contact and the challenging early years of galactic integration. William had always admired her calm approach to crisis. "Madam President," William said with a nod. Allison looked up, her blue eyes sharp with focus. "Admiral Carter, I assume you've received the same message I have?" "Yes, ma'am. The Senate wants us to give up our entire defense capability within 30 days. And if we refuse?" William took a deep breath. "The resolution states that appropriate measures will be taken to ensure compliance." Allison placed her tablet on the table. "They're threatening us. After we've followed every regulation, joined every humanitarian effort, and contributed technological advances to benefit the entire Senate." "It doesn't make sense," William agreed. "We've been model citizens since joining." The wall screen activated, showing the face of Gregory Hoffman, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Senate. His expression was grim. "Madam President, Admiral Carter," Gregory said. "I'm transmitting from the Senate Central Chamber on Proxima Station." "Ambassador, explain this resolution," Allison demanded. "We need to understand what's happening." Gregory loosened his collar. "The vote happened during an emergency session. I was given only minutes to review the resolution before voting began. I voted against it, of course, but I was the only one." "What reason did they give?" William asked. "Officially, they cited Earth's history of warfare." Senator Zixthal of the Arcturian Dominion presented a detailed analysis of human conflicts throughout our history. "The presentation made us look like bloodthirsty savages who only recently learned to walk upright," Allison frowned. "Every species has a history of conflict. The Darians fought wars for 5,000 years before achieving peace. I made that exact point," Gregory said. "The response was that our rate of weapons development is uniquely concerning. In the 15 years since we gained faster than light travel, our military technology has advanced at a pace that makes the Senate uncomfortable." William exchanged a glance with the president. They both knew the real reason for Earth's rapid military development. After first contact, humans had discovered they were far behind other species in defensive capabilities. The accelerated research was a matter of catching up, not aggression. "There's more," Gregory continued, lowering his voice. "I spoke privately with the Tellurian representative after the vote. He suggested this isn't really about our history or our weapons. Some of the older Senate species are worried about human ingenuity. We solve problems differently than they do. We adapt faster. They're not afraid of what we've built, they're afraid of what we might build next." William felt a chill. "They see us as a future threat," Exactly, Gregory confirmed. The disarmament is a way to keep us vulnerable and dependent on Senate protection. Allison stood and paced the room. We can't comply. Earth has too many enemies outside the Senate borders. Pirates, resource raiders, the unaligned worlds. Without our defenses, we'd be at their mercy. The Senate promises to provide security, Gregory said without conviction. Like they did for the Phobian colonies? William asked sharply. 3 settlements were raided while Senate ships were delayed responding to distress calls. The ambassador looked uncomfortable. I know. The Senate's protection is ... selective. Allison stopped pacing. We need time. Ambassador, return to Earth immediately. Use a private vessel, not a Senate transport. Admiral, call an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council for tomorrow morning. What about the Senate representatives stationed on Earth? William asked. For now, we maintain normal diplomatic relations, Allison decided. No signs of panic or unusual activity. I want a complete inventory of all our military assets, especially those the Senate might not know about. Gregory looked alarmed. Madame President, if you're considering rejection of the resolution, I'm considering all options. Ambassador, Allison interrupted, but I won't surrender Earth's ability to defend itself based on unfounded fears and hidden agendas. After Gregory's transmission ended, William pulled up classified files on his secure tablet. We should discuss contingency protocol Omega, he said quietly. Allison's expression darkened. I hoped we'd never need it. My team has been developing it since first contact, William explained. A hidden fleet and defense system built in anticipation of potential alien hostility. Ships constructed in secret locations, weapons platforms disguised as research stations, personnel trained under other program names. How ready is it? Allison asked. 80% operational. The Artemis fleet could be fully activated within 72 hours. Allison stared out at the stars. I've always believed in peaceful cooperation, William. I've staked my presidency on it. Peace works only when all parties respect each other, William said gently. The president was silent for a long moment. Finally, she turned to face him. Activate Omega, Admiral. Quietly, let's pray we don't need it, but I won't gamble with Earth's safety. As William left the conference room, his communication panel chimed again. Lieutenant Samantha Reeves, one of his most promising officers, appeared on screen. Admiral, long-range sensors have detected unusual movements at the edge of our solar system. Multiple Senate vessels changing course toward Earth. William's jaw tightened. How many? At least 15 large ships, sir. More appearing every hour. Continue. Monitoring. Report any changes immediately. William quickened his pace. The Senate wasn't waiting for Earth's response. They were already positioning their forces. Whatever their true motivation, fear, control, or something else entirely, the Galactic Senate had made a critical error in judgment. They had studied human history but learned the wrong lesson. They saw humanity's capacity for conflict as a reason to fear us, failing to understand that same history had taught us to be prepared for anything. Even betrayal by supposed allies. Earth would not be disarmed. And if the Senate tried to force the issue, they would discover exactly why humans had survived countless threats throughout their violent history. The galaxy was about to learn that backing humanity into a corner was the worst possible mistake. The United Earth Council chamber in Geneva buzzed with tension as 150 representatives from Earth's nations gathered for the emergency meeting. Sunlight streamed through the high glass dome, illuminating worried faces and hushed conversations. President Allison Maxwell stood at the central podium, her gray suit crisp and formal, waiting for the room to settle. Admiral William Carter sat to her right, his military uniform adorned with medals that caught the light each time he shifted in his seat. Ladies and gentlemen, Allison began, her voice clear and steady. 24 hours ago, the Galactic Senate passed Resolution 7291 demanding complete disarmament of all Earth's military forces within 30 days. Ambassador Hoffman has returned from Proxima Station and will present the full details. Gregory Hoffman approached the podium, looking tired from his rush journey home. The normally confident diplomat seemed smaller somehow, as if the weight of the Senate's betrayal pressed down on his shoulders. The resolution passed with only Earth voting against it, Gregory explained. All 146 other member species supported the measure. The official reason given was that humanity's history of warfare makes our species unpredictable and dangerous. Angry murmurs rippled through the chamber. A representative from Nigeria stood. We have followed every Senate regulation since joining. We have shared medical advances, helped with disaster relief on 12 planets, and participated in cultural exchange programs. How are we suddenly too dangerous to trust? Gregory nodded grimly. I asked the same question. The answer I received from Senator Zixtal, who introduced the resolution, was that our rate of military development is concerning to older civilizations. In 15 years, we've advanced our defense capabilities at a pace that took other species centuries. Because we had to catch up, a Chinese representative pointed out. We entered galactic society with technology far behind everyone else. The Senate sees it differently, Gregory replied. They view our rapid advancement as proof of an unhealthy focus on warfare. Admiral Carter stood, his expression calm but his eyes hard. With the Council's permission, I'd like to share some additional information. When Allison nodded, he activated the central display screen. In the past 12 hours, 27 Senate vessels have entered our solar system. They claim to be a diplomatic escort for the Senate ambassador who is arriving to oversee our disarmament. The room erupted in outrage. Allison raised her hands for quiet. Ambassador Hoffman was not informed of this escort before leaving Proxima Station. Because it's not an escort, William continued, it's an invasion force. Our intelligence shows weapon systems powered and ready on all vessels. They're positioning themselves in a standard attack formation. Dr. Catherine Rivera, Earth's leading xenopsychologist, requested to speak. The slender woman adjusted her glasses as she approached the podium. I believe this ultimatum may be a test of human compliance. The Senate is primarily composed of species that evolved through cooperation rather than competition. They fundamentally misunderstand humans. Throughout our history, threats have never made us more compliant, they've made us more resistant. Dr. Rivera may be right, Gregory added. But there's another factor. Several Senate members have privately expressed fear about human unpredictability. We solve problems in ways they don't expect. We take risks they would avoid. Some believe our creativity makes us dangerous. Lieutenant Daniel Wright entered the chamber quietly and handed William a data tablet. The young officer's face was grim as he whispered something to the Admiral. William reviewed the information, his expression darkening. Madam President Council, members, William announced. We've just intercepted communications confirming our suspicions. Some Senate species have been secretly amassing forces near our solar system for months. This disarmament demand isn't spontaneous, it's the culmination of a long-planned strategy. President Maxwell's normally diplomatic expression hardened. Put it to a vote. Does Earth comply with Resolution 7291 and surrender our defenses, or do we formally reject the disarmament order? The vote was displayed on the main screen. 150 votes for rejection, 0 for compliance. Earth had made its decision. Send our formal response to the Senate, Allison instructed Gregory. Inform them that while Earth remains committed to peaceful relations, we cannot and will not surrender our right to self-defense. As the meeting continued, William slipped away with Lieutenant Wright to a secure communication room. Show me everything, the Admiral ordered. Daniel pulled up classified sensor data on the screen. Sir, we've detected 5 additional Senate battle groups positioned beyond Neptune. Their communications suggest they expected us to refuse. They've been preparing for this scenario. Have they discovered any of our Omega Protocol assets? Daniel shook his head. No, sir. The Artemis fleet remains undetected in the asteroid belt. Our stealth technology is working. William nodded thoughtfully. What about Lieutenant Reeves and the Valiant? Ready and waiting at the designated coordinates. All experimental systems are functional. Good, send the activation codes. It's time to bring Omega fully online. Back in the council chamber, Dr. Rivera was explaining the likely Senate response to Earth's refusal. They'll attempt to appear reasonable at first, offering compromises that still leave us vulnerable. When that fails, they'll escalate to demonstrations of force, targeting military installations while avoiding civilian casualties if possible. And then, asked a representative from Brazil. Catherine's expression was solemn. Then they'll do what powerful entities have always done when facing what they perceive as a threat. They'll attempt to neutralize it completely. President Maxwell rejoined the conversation, which is why we've prepared contingencies. Admiral Carter has been authorized to activate Protocol Omega, a defense system built in secret over the past 15 years. A representative from India looked concerned. We hid this from the Senate. Isn't that a violation of our membership agreement? The agreement requires us to disclose all weapons of mass destruction and planet-killing technology, Allison clarified. Omega consists entirely of defensive systems and conventional military vessels. We were under no obligation to provide the Senate with a detailed inventory of our standard defense capabilities. Gregory Hoffman looked troubled. The Senate won't see it that way. They'll view this as deception. Perhaps, Allison acknowledged, but their actions have proven our precautions were justified. A soft, alert tone sounded throughout the chamber. The main screen activated automatically, showing the face of Commander Velker of the Centauri fleet. The alien's pale blue skin and large eyes gave him an appearance of calm wisdom that contradicted his reputation as a ruthless military leader. President Maxwell, Velker said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into smooth English. The Galactic Senate has received your response to Resolution 7291. I have been authorized to begin disarmament procedures immediately. Allison stood tall. Commander Velker, Earth rejects the Senate's demand. We maintain our right to self-defense. That is no longer your decision to make, Velker replied coolly. Senate peacekeeping forces have already entered your solar system. We have deactivated your orbital defense platforms using access codes, shared through diplomatic channels. Resistance is not only futile, but will result in unnecessary casualties. William stepped forward. Commander, I suggest you check your tactical displays again. For a moment, confusion flickered across Velker's alien features. The transmission suddenly cut out. What just happened? Gregory asked. William allowed himself a small smile. Lieutenant Reeves and the USS Valiant just happened. The Senate forces are about to discover that the defense codes they obtained don't work on systems they don't know exist. Across the solar system, hidden ships were powering up, emerging from concealment in the asteroid belt, behind moons, and in the clouds of gas giants. Earth had spent 15 years preparing for this possibility, building a fleet that incorporated both human innovation and reverse-engineered alien technology. As Senate vessels moved toward Earth, they encountered something they never expected: resistance from a species they had gravely underestimated. Admiral William Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the holographic display of the solar system. Earth glowed blue at the center, while red dots representing Senate vessels clustered at the edges. 2 days had passed since the initial confrontation, and the Senate forces had regrouped beyond the orbit of Neptune. Their disabled ships floated silently in space, surrounded by human vessels offering assistance to the crews while keeping weapons ready. Status report. William ordered calmly. His executive officer stepped forward. Senate forces have maintained their position for the past 12 hours. We've received no further communication from Commander Velker. Our intelligence suggests they're waiting for reinforcements. William nodded thoughtfully. And our casualties? Minimal, sir. 7 injured during the initial exchange. No fatalities. 17 of our ships sustained minor damage but remain combat-ready. This outcome had surprised even William. The Artemis fleet was designed to defend Earth, not to so thoroughly outmaneuver the Senate forces. The quantum-shifted shields had worked better than expected, rendering most Senate weapons ineffective. Even more surprising was how unprepared the aliens had been for resistance. For centuries, younger species had complied with Senate demands. seeing no alternative against the combined might of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "priority message from President Maxwell." Allison's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but determined. "Admiral, we've received a transmission from an unexpected source. 3 Senate species have reached out privately offering to share intelligence. Dr. Rivera is coordinating with them now." William raised an eyebrow. "Which species?" "The Solarians, the Eridani Collective, and surprisingly, the Proxima Federation. All 3 claim they voted for the disarmament resolution under duress. They say Senator Zixthal threatened economic sanctions against any who opposed the measure." This was an interesting development. The 3 species were among the newer Senate members, having joined within the last century. They had more in common with humans than with the ancient founding species. "Can we trust them?" William asked. "Dr. Rivera believes so. The Solarian representative specifically mentioned that several older Senate species have been systematically limiting newer members' defensive capabilities for centuries. Apparently, our resistance has inspired them." William considered this new information. "What intelligence are they offering?" "Detailed specifications of Senate vessels, including shield frequencies and weapon capabilities. They've also provided the location of the Senate's forward command station. It's disguised as a research outpost in the Kuiper Belt." This was valuable information indeed. William felt a surge of hope. Perhaps Earth wasn't as alone in the galaxy as they had feared. "One more thing, Admiral," Allison added. "Lieutenant Wright has volunteered to lead a covert mission to the command station. With the new intelligence, he believes a small team can infiltrate and access the Senate's secure communications network." William frowned. "That's an extremely high-risk operation." "It is," Allison agreed. "But if successful, it could give us access to the Senate's true invasion plans. Wright's team has been training for exactly this kind of mission." After careful consideration, William nodded. "Approved. But I want the Valiant assigned as their transport. Lieutenant Reeves has proven the stealth systems are effective against Senate sensors." Meanwhile, aboard his flagship, Commander Velker faced a crisis. Senate reinforcements were 3 days away at best, and his remaining ships were struggling to adapt to human tactics and technology. The Centauri commander had never experienced such a humiliating defeat in his 200 years of military service. "How did we underestimate them so severely?" he demanded of his advisors, a Arcturian. Science officer spoke hesitantly. "Commander, we based our assessment on the technology humans shared with the Senate. We had no way of knowing they were developing parallel systems in secret." Velker slammed his fist on the table. "Senator Zixthal assured the Council that humans were primitive and would surrender immediately when faced with our superior forces. Now we're hiding at the edge of their system while they offer medical assistance to our disabled ships. The humiliation is unbearable." The Arcturian looked troubled. "Sir, about Senator Zixthal's intelligence assessments?" "I've been reviewing the data, and I believe some information may have been deliberately falsified." Velker's inner eyelids flickered with surprise. "Explain." "The reports consistently underestimated human technological capabilities while exaggerating their aggressive tendencies. It appears the senator wanted this confrontation." This revelation cast the entire operation in a new light. Had the Arcturian Dominion manipulated the Senate into this conflict? To what end? Back on Earth, Dr. Catherine Rivera met with representatives from the 3 sympathetic Senate species via secure holographic conference. The aliens appeared as slightly transparent figures seated around the table in the underground facility. "The disarmament demand was never about safety," the Solarian representative explained. His crystalline body structure caught the light as he gestured. It was about control. "The founding species have maintained their dominance by ensuring newer members remain technologically dependent on them." The Eridani representative nodded, her feathered head bobbing. "When your species developed quantum-shifted shields independently, it triggered panic among the High Council. They realized humans might advance beyond their control." Catherine leaned forward. "Why are you helping us?" "You're risking Senate reprisals." The Proxima representative, an amphibious being with large eyes, answered softly, "Because your resistance has shown us what's possible. For too long, younger species have accepted Senate authority without question. You've proven we can stand up for ourselves." This alliance, though small, provided crucial information as Lieutenant Daniel Wright prepared his mission. The USS Valiant departed Earth under complete stealth, carrying Daniel and his team of 6 Special Forces operatives toward the hidden Senate Command Station. Samantha Reeves guided her ship carefully through the outer solar system, avoiding detection by Senate patrols. "According to the intelligence," she told Daniel, "the command station maintains minimal security because its location is supposedly secret. Their overconfidence works in our favor." Daniel checked his equipment one final time. "Once we're inside, we'll have approximately 20 minutes to access their central communications hub and download their secure files before they detect the intrusion. The Valiant will remain nearby under stealth," Samantha assured him. "The first sign of trouble, we'll extract your team." The mission was risky but essential. Earth needed to understand the Senate's true intentions and the extent of their planned invasion force. As the Valiant approached the command station, President Maxwell prepared a different kind of offensive. Working with her communications team, she compiled evidence of the Senate's deception and true motives. Using frequencies that bypassed official Senate communication channels, she broadcast directly to all species in the galaxy. "Citizens of the galactic community," Allison began, her voice translated into hundreds of alien languages. "The Galactic Senate has attempted to forcibly disarm Earth under the false pretense that humanity is dangerous and unpredictable. We have defended ourselves against this unprovoked aggression, but we seek no wider conflict." She continued, presenting evidence provided by the sympathetic species. "For centuries, the founding members of the Senate have systematically limited the technological development of newer species, creating dependency rather than true cooperation. They demanded our disarmament not because we threaten peace, but because we threaten their control." The broadcast included intercepted communications between Senator Zixthal and Commander Velkor, revealing the true purpose of the disarmament demand. As the message spread across thousands of worlds, reactions varied from shock to anger to quiet acknowledgement of long-suspected truths. Meanwhile, Daniel Wright's team successfully infiltrated the Senate command station. Moving silently through the corridors, they reached the central communications hub without raising alarms. While his team stood guard, Daniel connected a specialized device to the main computer terminal. "Beginning download," he whispered into his communication device. "Their security is exactly where our lies said it would be." The download progressed quickly, copying terabytes of classified Senate data. When it completed, Daniel removed the device and signaled his team to withdraw. They had what they needed without firing a single shot. As the Valiant returned to Earth, Admiral Carter prepared the next phase of Earth's defense. The Senate reinforcements would arrive soon, but now humanity had allies and information. The conflict was far from over, but for the first time since the crisis began, William allowed himself to believe that Earth might not only survive, but help create a new and more equal galactic order. 11 days after the Senate forces entered Earth's solar system, the conflict that many had feared would destroy humanity came to an unexpected end. Admiral William Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance watching Senate vessels retreat toward the jump point that would take them back to their territories. The data lieutenant, Daniel Wright, had recovered from the Senate command station had changed everything. William turned to President Allison Maxwell, who had joined him aboard the flagship for this historic moment. "They never expected us to discover their deception," he said quietly. Allison nodded, her expression solemn yet satisfied. "Senator Zixthal miscalculated badly. He assumed Earth would either surrender immediately or fight conventionally and lose. The information Daniel had obtained revealed the true reason behind the disarmament demand. The Arcturian Dominion under Senator Zixthal's leadership had manipulated the Senate for centuries, keeping newer species technologically dependent, while secretly harvesting resources from their territories. Earth's rapid advancement threatened to expose this system of control. More importantly, the data showed that many Senate species had been kept in the dark about the true purpose of the Earth operation. When President Maxwell broadcast this evidence, throughout the galaxy, support for the invasion crumbled. 48 hours later, the Senate Council voted to recall their forces and open negotiations with Earth. Admiral, called the communications officer, the last Senate vessel is approaching the jump point. William and Allison watched as the final ship disappeared in a flash of light. For the first time in nearly 2 weeks, Earth's solar system contained only human vessels. "Have the Defiance escort our diplomatic team to the meeting coordinates," Allison instructed. "It's time to build something new from this conflict." 3 days later, representatives from 53 galactic species gathered on the neutral space station Harmony, located at the midpoint between Earth and Proxima Centauri. Unlike the imposing galactic Senate chambers with their hierarchical seating that placed founding species in privileged positions, this meeting took place around a circular table where all participants sat as equals. Ambassador Gregory Hoffman represented Earth alongside Dr. Catherine Rivera. The Solarians, Eridani, and Proximans who had provided crucial intelligence during the conflict sat nearby. Most surprising was the presence of Commander Velcor, who had requested political asylum after learning how thoroughly his Centauri people had been manipulated by Senator Zixthal. "The Galactic Senate has existed for over 4,000 years," began the Solarian representative, his crystalline form catching the light. "For much of that time, it has claimed to represent peace and cooperation between species. But as we have learned, the founding members created a system that preserved their power while limiting others." Murmurs of agreement spread around the table. Many of the species present were newer Senate members who had long suspected but never confirmed their systematic disadvantage. Catherine stood to address the gathering. "Earth did not seek this conflict. We built our hidden defenses because history taught us to be prepared. But now we have an opportunity to create something better than what came before." She activated a holographic display showing a new charter. "We propose the formation of the Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds. Unlike the Senate, this organization will be founded on principles of genuine equality, mutual defense, and technological cooperation." The key provisions appeared one by one. All member species retain their right to self-defense technology sharing programs with no artificial limitations, collective security against external threats, equal voting rights regardless of how long a species has been spacefaring, transparent governance with rotating leadership positions. Discussion continued for hours as representatives suggested modifications and improvements. Gregory worked tirelessly to incorporate feedback while maintaining the core principles. By the end of the day, 48 species had signed the preliminary charter, with 5 more requesting time to consult their governments. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Samantha Reeves and the USS Valiant embarked on a different kind of mission. The experimental vessel now carried ambassadors from Earth to visit worlds that had never interacted with humans before. Their mission was to explain what had happened and extend an invitation to join the new alliance. "Many species fear us now," Samantha told her crew as they prepared to visit the Alderaan homeworld. "They've heard about our victory over Senate forces and assume we're conquerors. Our job is to show them that humanity wants partners, not subjects." Back on Earth, Admiral Carter and Lieutenant Wright worked to integrate the technology and tactics developed during the conflict into standard training. The quantum-shifted shields that had proven so effective against Senate weapons were now being installed on civilian vessels as well as military ships. "The key lesson," William explained to a group of officers, "wasn't our technology. It was our adaptability. Senate forces had superior ships in many ways, but they fought according to patterns established centuries ago. They couldn't adjust to our unconventional tactics." Daniel nodded in agreement. "The greatest advantage humans have always had is our ability to innovate under pressure. When backed into a corner, we don't surrender, we find another way out." 6 months after the conflict ended, President Maxwell stood before the newly constructed Alliance headquarters in Geneva. Representatives from 77 species had gathered for the formal signing of the final charter. The new Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds now represented almost half of all known spacefaring civilizations, with more applying to join each month. Today marks not just the end of one era but the beginning of another, Allison said, her voice carrying across the assembled crowd. The Senate tried to disarm humanity because they feared what we might become. They never expected us to show them what we already were, a species committed to both our own survival and the prosperity of... Oh. She gestured to the Alliance emblem displayed behind her, showing stars of different colors united in a protective formation. This symbol represents our shared commitment to defense and cooperation. Every star is different, yet together they form something stronger than any could be alone. The former Senate continued to exist, but its power had diminished significantly as member after member departed to join the Alliance. Senator Zixtal faced trial for crimes against multiple species, his centuries of manipulation finally exposed. The Arcturian Dominion, once among the most powerful forces in the galaxy, now struggled to rebuild its reputation under new leadership. As the formal ceremony concluded, Gregory Hoffman found himself standing beside Commander Velker, the Centauri, had provided valuable insights into Senate military strategy and was now serving as a liaison between former Senate worlds and the Alliance. Did you ever imagine this outcome when your fleet entered our solar system? Gregory asked. Velker's inner eyelids flickered in what humans had learned was a gesture of reflection. Never. We expected either your surrender or your destruction. The possibility that our actions would lead to a fundamental restructuring of galactic politics did not occur to anyone. That's the thing about humans, Gregory replied with a small smile. We're unpredictable. The Senate was right about that part at least. Across the room, Dr. Rivera spoke with representatives from newly contacted worlds. Her work as a xenopsychologist had proven invaluable in helping different species understand each other beyond simple translation of words. As the gathering transitioned to a celebration, Admiral Carter received a communication from Lieutenant Reeves. The Valiant had just returned from a diplomatic mission to the edge of known space. Admiral, Samantha reported, excitement clear in her voice. We've made contact with 3 previously unknown civilizations. All have expressed interest in joining the Alliance. William smiled. Earth had not only survived, but thrived. The galaxy was changing, becoming more open and equal. The Senate had tried to disarm humanity, fearing what they might become. Instead, they had unleashed Earth's greatest strength, the ability to turn crisis into opportunity and emerge stronger than before. Commander Alan Wright sat at his station in the Galactic Communications Hub, monitoring the usual chatter of signals from across the known universe. His shift was almost over, and he was looking forward to dinner with friends when he noticed something odd. The Earth channel had gone quiet. He checked his equipment, thinking it must be a malfunction. Earth was never quiet. Not for a moment. Not in the 30 years since humans had joined the Galactic Council. He tapped the screen and ran a diagnostic. The system was working perfectly. There was simply nothing coming from Earth, no television broadcasts leaking into space, no radio signals, no official communications, no data transfers between Earth and its colonies. Nothing at all. Alan frowned and called over his supervisor, a tall, blue-skinned alien named Zix. Earth channel is silent, Alan said, pointing to his screen. Zix blinked all 4 of his eyes in sequence, a sign of surprise among his people. For how long? About 20 minutes now. Try direct contact, Zix suggested. Dahlin sent a standard check-in signal to Earth's main communication station on the moon. No response came back. Try again, Zix said, his voice now carrying a hint of concern. Alan sent the signal 3 more times. Nothing came back? By now, several other workers at nearby stations had turned to watch. A silent Earth was something none of them had experienced before. Should we alert the Council? Alan asked. CYX hesitated. Not yet. It could be a simple technical issue. Give it an hour. 1 hour turned into 3. By then, the entire communications hub was aware of the situation. Earth remained completely silent, no explanation. No distress signal? Just an eerie absence where there had always been a constant stream of human voices. Data and culture. As his extended shift ended, Alan was replaced by Maria Garcia, another human who worked at the hub. Still nothing? She asked as she took his seat. Not a peep, Alan replied. It's like someone just switched off the whole planet. That's impossible, Maria said, though her voice trembled slightly. 8 billion people don't just go silent all at once. By morning, the silence had lasted 12 hours. Zix finally made the call to the Galactic Council, Nancy Clark. Earth's representative on the council was pulled from a dinner party to answer urgent messages. She was a woman in her 50s with short gray hair and the confident bearing of someone used to handling crises. But as she listened to Zix's report, the color drained from her face. You're certain it's not an equipment failure? On your end? She asked. We've checked everything 3 times, Zix replied. The silence is real. Nancy immediately tried to contact Earth herself, using her private government channel. Nothing came back? She tried calling friends, family members, government offices. All attempts failed. Within hours, an emergency council meeting was called. The great circular chamber filled with representatives from over 200 worlds. Nancy sat at her designated spot, aware of the many eyes watching her. Some looked concerned, others suspicious. The council leader, a tall insect-like being, named Zith, called the meeting to order. We face an unprecedented situation, Zith announced, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic. Earth has gone silent. No communications have been received for over 18 hours now. Representative Clark, do you have any explanation? Nancy stood, feeling the weight of the moment. I do not. I have been unable to contact anyone on Earth or any human colony. I am as concerned as all of you, a murmur ran through the chamber. Could this be a prelude to hostile action? Asked the representative from Vega, a warlike species always quick to assume the worst. Absolutely not, Nancy replied firmly. Humans have been peaceful members of the Council for 30 years. But your species is known for unpredictable behavior, the vegan countered, and rapid technological advancement. More murmurs filled the room, many sounding worried. Meanwhile, across the galaxy on Centauri Prime, Ambassador Greg Powell was facing similar questions. The diplomatic reception he had been attending had quickly turned from polite conversation to pointed interrogation as news of Earth's silence spread. Ambassador, you must know something, insisted a reptilian diplomat, his scaled face pushing uncomfortably close to Greg's. I know as much as you do, Greg replied, trying to maintain his composure. I have no contact with Earth. This is most concerning, said a floating gas-filled creature that served as the cultural attach from Rigel. Silence is often the first sign of aggressive intent in many species, Greg shook his head. Not for humans. We're known for talking too much, if anything. Perhaps that was misdirection all along, suggested another diplomat darkly. Greg found himself backed against a wall, surrounded by increasingly nervous aliens. Their fear was palpable, and for the first time, he realized how humans were perceived by some in the galaxy as unpredictable, potentially dangerous beings who had advanced too quickly. Over the next few days, the silence continued. Ships that should have arrived from Earth never appeared. Human outposts reported no contact with their homeworld. The few human ships in transit simply completed their journeys, their crews just as confused as everyone else on Proxima Station. Dr. Olivia Martinez watched the situation unfold with growing concern. As a xenobiologist studying alien psychology, she recognized the signs of increasing panic among the non-human population of the station. They're afraid of us, she told her assistant, Ben Lewis, as they observed a group of aliens hurriedly moving away from human quarters. Why? We haven't done anything, Ben replied. That's what scares them. The unknown. Humans have always been chatty, sharing everything about ourselves. Now we've gone quiet, and they're imagining the worst possible reasons. Reports began to come in from across the galaxy. Human diplomats were being quietly isolated. Trade with Human colonies was slowing as merchants found excuses not to make scheduled stops. Some humans reported being denied service or entry to establishments on alien worlds. Back at the council, Nancy Clark faced daily questioning. With each passing day, the questions grew more hostile. Could Earth be developing a new weapon? Asked one representative. Is this silence covering up some disaster your people wish to hide? Asked another. Have humans discovered something they don't wish to share with the council? Nancy maintained the same answer. She didn't know. And with each repetition, she could see trust eroding. After a week of silence, rumors began to spread. Some said Earth had been destroyed. Others suggested humans were preparing for war. Still others believed humans had discovered something so valuable or dangerous they had isolated themselves to keep it secret. The fear spread faster than Nancy could counter it. She watched helplessly as the council began discussing preventative measures to protect against whatever might be happening with humans. As the second week of silence began, military vessels from several worlds were reported moving toward the edges of human space, not entering, but positioning themselves, watching, waiting. For the first time in 30 years of peaceful coexistence, the galaxy was afraid of Earth. And Earth, for reasons no one understood, said nothing at all to calm those fears.